I'm excited to talk a little bit about some songwriting tips using Hotel California as a starting point. I chose it just because it's a great song. A lot of people know it. Even if you don't know it, if you listen to it, you'll probably really like it. And anything that I show you today can be done through any song that you actually like. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a free online piano website, and we're going to do some practicing. So depending on where you're at in your music development skills or your music theory, whatever the case may be, some of this you might want to skip through. So the first thing we're going to do is I want to show you a website, and I included it into the links. It's to use a free online piano. And the purpose of this is to show you how to identify chords, practice creating chords, practice how to transpose chords if you find that maybe the key's too high, or you want to change the key, or take some chord progressions and then scramble them up so you don't even have to really do anything, and you can create a whole new different song. So all of this just takes minutes to do, so it's pretty nice. And all of it's free, so that's nice. So the first thing I want everyone to do is to practice identifying the notes in a chord. Now, I am a pianist. I do play a little bit of guitar. I played clarinet and flute when I was younger, and a vocalist. But I do all my songwriting on a piano. So of course, your instrument, whatever the case may be, is going to be the one that you're most comfortable with. What I like about a piano is that you really have the opportunity to visualize chords. You don't have to fumble with, is the fingering right with certain things? If your mouthpiece is right, if you hit the note, it's going to play it right unless it's out of tune. And so I found this website here that has this virtual, somebody was outside, virtual piano keyboard. So the first thing that we should do is practice chords. There are tons and tons of chords, and certain chords will give you certain different sounds. And what's nice is if you're getting kind of stuck with some of your songwriting, sometimes adding certain things, adding in a major 7 or a 7 or a sus4 or something like that can help you out. So there's all kinds of different programs, websites that'll tell you all the notes that are in chords if you need some help with that. But it's really nice because all you have to do is just click on it. So you go, okay, that's right, that's the C chord. If you just want to play a C major, C. Okay, and then hopefully you get some ear training that you start listening if you've made a wrong note. So if I do, oh, that's not right, right? So that's not a normal major chord. There are some notes down here for you to use. So they got all kinds of different stuff in here. So you can hear like different notes and stuff. Okay, so I do like this website. It's pretty nice. Okay, so that's the first thing. And it has like, oh, look, I didn't even notice that. It has all the notes all highlighted for you. So that's the first thing to do, to practice the notes and to get some ear training to identify notes in a chord. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Hotel California. And we're going to do the first chord. We're going to talk about the chorus part. And we're going to identify the chord progression. And we're going to take the chord progression and kind of get you some understanding of how songs work using chord progression. So the first thing that you want to do is find the key of the song. There's multiple ways of doing it. An easy way that's done a lot is that you can go online and search for what is the key of a particular song. First, like here, the key is in B minor. The other thing is that oftentimes the first note, the first chord of the song is usually the key. Not all the time, but a lot of times. So it's in the key of B minor. And the first note, the first chord in the song is B minor. So oftentimes that's what we know as the key of the song. Now, when we write in keys, we don't use, when we write songs, they took kind of the easy way, which is it's just B minor. Okay. What we like to do when we write songs is that, I know for myself, just because when we talk about chord progressions and how they work, I always write them in the major key. So a B minor has a relative major. So if we have B, if we go back to the piano, and let me just clear this out and refresh the page. So here's the key, there's B. If I go 1, 2, 3, half steps, because between the B and the C is a half, because it doesn't have the black key. So 1, 2, 3. So B minor has a relative major of D. A minor is very common as well, and it's the relative minor of the major C. So if we go C, 1, 2, 3, then we have A minor. So that's how we know. So when we're writing this stuff out, we're just going to use the key of D, just because it's easiest. Okay. When you write out a song, you're going to be using what's called Roman numeral chord progressions. So when you write out song chord progressions, you use numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to ignore 7 really because it just is not used that common. So most of the time when you write a song, it's going to be these 7 chords, these 6 chords. And you look at them and say, well, Jocelyn, why is some capitalized and some lowercase? Good question. Well, if it's capitalized, it's a major. If it is lowercase, it's the minor. So if we're talking about the key of C, and I wanted to know what the chords are in the key of C, I know C has no flats and no sharps. So it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B. But if I just say D, and I don't tell it's a minor, I'm going to hit that F sharp. So it's C, D minor, because that 2 is lowered. 3 is minor. 4 is major. 5 is major. 6 is minor. And 7 is this little diminished stuff that we won't go to worry about. If you go and play with individuals, and I say, hey, I got this great song. It's called the Hotel California. And you say, great. I never heard of it. How do we play it? Let's start with the chorus. Okay, what's the chord progression in the chorus? And you can find it on the internet here. Here's the chord progression here of the chorus. And I say it's C, D, F sharp, B minor, G, D, E minor, F sharp. And I go, hold up, wait a minute. Okay. What was that again? When we say what we're playing, especially if we're playing with other musicians or we're writing songs, instead of saying all these notes, because it starts to get a little confusing, is it the D? Is it D minor? Is it D major? We're going to use the numbers. So let's say, for example, I was wanting us to play 1, 3, 5, and 6. If I said, okay, let's play C, E minor, G, A minor. What's easier, to say it like that or say it's the key of C? We're going to play the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 6. 1, 3, 5, 6. I can remember 1, 3, 5, 6. I have a hard time remembering C, E minor, G, A minor, because it follows this rule, because of the way that the scale is developed. The 2 is always minor, the 3 is always minor. So I don't have to say A minor. I don't have to say 6 minor. I already know that 6 is going to be minor unless I tell it otherwise. So again, if I wanted to play C, E flat, G, and A minor, what's easier? Okay, we're going to play C, E minor, G, or A minor, or 1, 3, 5, and 6. 1, 3, 5, and 6 in the key of C. I know that I'm going to play the C, the E minor, the G, and the A minor. You go, well, that's not too complicated. Wouldn't it just be easier? But think about when you get like really complicated scales, like the B that has all these all these sharps in it. So now I have to say B, D sharp minor, F sharp, G sharp minor. Oh my gosh, it gets confusing. I could just say it's the key of B. We're going to play the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 6. So everyone will always know that this is the ones that you're going to be playing. So that's pretty easy. So let's look at Hotel California. They say it's in the key of B. Okay. But we're going to say it's the key of D just to make it easier. So the chord progression is G, D, F sharp, B minor. G, D, E minor, F sharp. The reason why we don't do that is because this does not work. When you do the 1, 2, if it's in a minor, it doesn't work. It works in the major though. So what we're starting off with is G, and I'm just going to kind of block that out. So the first thing we want to do is map out what those are. So we got D. And so let's see what that looks like. So the D majors, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, and C sharp. And the chord progression for Hotel California, it is G, D, F sharp, and then B minor. Then that's the first one. It's 8 bars. Then we got G, D, changes up a little bit to E minor, and then it ends with the F sharp. So if I'm going to tell people to play Hotel California, I'm going to say we're in the key of D, and we're going to play the 4, because that's the G. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, G, 4, and 4. The D, which is 1, that's major. Now we see the 3, which is F sharp. Now, we are going to need to minor that F sharp. Actually, we're going to major the F sharp because it's a major note. If it was F sharp minor, it would work. But in this instance, this is one where they actually do want you to change it to a major. And you find that a lot. And majoring, the 3 is very common. It's just in very pop music and stuff like that. Majoring the 3 is very common. So you'll say 4, 1, major 3. Just know that this, instead of the minor, is going to be a major. Then we'll go back to a B minor, which is still the 6. It's still a minor because it's already that. And then we'll repeat the first part. So it's a G, a 1, and an E minor, which is a 2, which fits. And it's the F sharp, which we have to major the 3 again. Okay, so that is our chord progression. It's a 4, a 1, a major 3rd, and a 6. Okay. Now, when you go through, you might find that you really like the way that this chord progression works. And you can use this in any key. So again, it's the 4, the 1, the major 3, and the 6. And you can go and do the same thing in C's and the key of D and the key of B flat, E, whatever the case may be. And we'll actually, when we transpose this, we'll actually just use the same chord progression, and we don't even have to worry about which one is it, what. It makes it so much easier, and you'll see. So the first thing I want you to do is I actually want you to map this out in the application. So it's pretty easy how you do it. I'm going to take off the sustain. And my first note is a G. So all you have to do is hit this chord. It's going to like record it. You're going to do G, B, and D. Then when you're done, you're just going to click it off, and it creates this little thing right here, which is pretty nice. And you can actually save it and upload it later on if you're working on a piece. Then we'll do D, fold it down, E, F sharp, A. So this is a good opportunity for you to work on the chords, and etc. etc. Then when we want to play it, we can just hit the sustain and then start playing it. Okay. All right. Did I do that right? Let's double check. Sounds a little off. I played the G, the D. I probably need to switch that up, maybe go a little bit lower down, but that's all right. That's okay. In the end, what you'll have is, I did it. You know what? I'm gonna pause this for a second because I had it recorded. All right, so my computer had shut down earlier, so it's a good idea to save these files. You can save it, and it saves in this weird little file that you can then load back up again. So here's the notes. Here we go. Here's the song laid out in the chord progressions. So if you want to play it, just hit the sustain, so it kind of plays that note so it's not so choppy. Let's hear it. Welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely face. Plenty of room at the Hotel California. Anytime you can find it here. Right? Okay, so that's pretty high, right? So I'm like, okay, that's the right chord progression. But if you're sometimes playing with a vocalist, or when you're playing by yourself, you can be kind of high or low. It doesn't really matter. The issue comes when you've got a vocalist, like someone like me, who comes in and says, you know what, that's too high. That doesn't sound pleasant. That's not the way this song works. It's a little high on the key, but that doesn't sound good. So you got two options. The easiest one is drop an octave. So I just did the same, started with the same, did the same chord progression, and just moved my hand all the way down. Instead of starting up here, I started down here. Let's see what that sounds like. Oh, that's horrible, right? Nobody wants to hear that. So if you're now working with a vocalist, or if you just don't like it being that high and you say, I would prefer it to be a little bit lower, then you have to change the key. And what's nice is we've already established what the chord progression is. So all then I have to say is what's the key? Let's change the key to what? If we're right here at the G and we're like, it's a little high, and we're in the key of D, maybe we might drop it down to like a F or a G or an F. Let's see what I came up with. Okay. So I decided to transpose it to an F major. So I'm bringing it down a little bit. It'll sound a little bit better, more of a popular on the radio type song. So then all you have to do is, now we just say it's an F major. I don't have to say, well, what's the chord? Is it F, G, A, might? Don't need to worry about any of that stuff. We do the same thing as the 4, the 1, the major 3, and the 6. So we're going to do B flat, F, A, and D minor. So I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to go and open up another one. So B flat. Now there's 2 flats in there. It's B flat. We're going to do the chord. I'm going to do B flat, D, and F. I probably don't like that because I just said it was too high. So I'm going to go a little bit lower instead. D, F, and D, B flat, D, and F. And then close that out. All right. And that gives me in the sharps. That's nothing wrong with that. Okay. And then I'm going to do an F. So we started D. Maybe I'll do F down here. See if that works. It still might be a little too low. We'll see. And then I'll do an A. A is major, right? So this is, let me make sure, this is, I just lay it like that. I don't need to indicate that it's major and minor just because I know this is a major third. I mean, this is a major 3 versus a minor 3. So this one's going to be A. And then a D minor. We'll see. I think it's kind of low, but we'll see. Let's say D minor, D minor. So that the minor, you flat the third. That might be a little low. We'll see. If I want to check it out, I can always just add in the other one. And then I can kind of move it down here. So now I'm just going to play it and see what it sounds like. Or do I play the higher 1/3, the last one? It just depends on whatever they want to do. Now, the challenging part is when you start to transpose a song that you really, really know, it can be a little hard to transition out of the notes that you're familiar with singing. If you got a good ear and you can just sing some songs without really needing a musical instrument to help you out, then it's a little bit of a struggle. So this is a really good thing for vocalists to work on, or anybody who just wants to learn how to sing a little bit better, is work on singing that song, but making sure you're not singing the same melody in the background. So if we go here. And then the second, the third, and the fourth change a little bit. So that's another good thing for you to do to work on that sort of thing. Okay, so now we're going to change the order of the chords. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to take those, the original chords of the song, and I'm going to change it around to make it just a little bit different. So I'm going to do G, D, F sharp, and B minor. So I could just go back to this one right, let's see, where was I at? This one right here. I'm just going to recreate. I'm going to pause. I'm going to recreate it. Okay, I did forget to say that what I'd like you to do is to practice and finish transposing those last ones. Those first 2 chords are there for you. So you can just go ahead, and really all you have to do is just transpose the last 2. Okay, so the last thing we're going to look at is how to take these same 4 chords. We're going to do the first part of the chorus and move things around a little bit. A very common thing that you'll hear is like a step down. So you start at the top and it just works its way down. So we'll start with the highest note that I have. Let's see, so I think it's this one. I'm just going to move it around. F sharp. And I'm going to move to that D. And it's nice because you just can move it around. And then B. And over, and then the G. Okay. All right, so let's see what this sounds like. Same chord progression, not the same chord progression, same chords. I've just moved them around. And I'm going to create a brand new song. See what that sounds like. Not bad, not bad. This is where you start hearing stuff. You're like, what is it? And hopefully what you'll start hearing is in your head, like, where is the song sort of taking you? You could probably listen to a song if you understand a little music theory, and you could probably sing the next note at the melody without even hearing the song, just because of the way that our ears and stuff naturally go to this. So the first issue I find is this note right here. because it starts as like goes down and then it kind of goes up, but it goes up in a little bit of a different way that I don't particularly like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an inversion. And then all an inversion is that you change the root. You keep the chords the same, but you just change the root. So instead of the root being the G, I'm going to make the root the A. I think I did it with A sharp. Did I? Let's see. Maybe I did it like this. No, we'll do it like that. That's something good, and I'm kind of irritated because my computer broke down. That's all right. So let's see. In order to change to make an inversion, all I have to do now is basically make the B the root, then add the D, then add the G. So let's see what that sounds like. So I'm going to make it, and that's on the 4. So I'm going to make it B, D. It's probably too high. I don't really like that. Don't like that. So this is where you start kind of fooling around. You're like, I don't particularly like that. I'm going to pause for a second, see if I can find that chord progression that I had created earlier. Okay, so I got something. It wasn't what I came up with. So that's the hardest part about working on a computer. It's always good to take some notes at the same time when you're writing your music. Paper tends to kind of stay somewhere you can find it, but if you're working on a computer and it crashes, you've lost everything that you were working on. So, and if it doesn't auto save. So let's look at this. So what I did was I just moved the chords around. Same chords that I had with Hotel California. I just moved them around a bit. So we went from F sharp, the F sharp, the C, the D to the A. So we have F sharp, F sharp. Let's see, maybe that's where I'm messing up. I got the wrong chords. No, I was right. So let's look again. It was C, D, F sharp, and B minor. G, D, F sharp, and the B minor. So all I did was just move things around like that. And then when I want to play it, I just play it and see what it sounds like. So let's see what it sounds like. Not bad, not bad. Not great, not bad. Not bad. I think the first two kind of clash a little bit together, but let's just start with something a little bit easier. So let's say I'm getting down to this end and I'm like, maybe I want something a little bit different on the sound. So what I'll do is I'll do an inversion. So instead of the G being the bottom, the bass note, I'll make the B the bass note. I'm just going to move everything up. So it's going to be 1, 3, and 5 versus 1, 3, and 5. So now it's this chord here. And we'll see. It gives a slightly different sound. So if you're struggling with something, you're like, try the inversion and see if that works. So let's see. Okay, maybe not. You'll find it and you'll say, yeah, I like it, I don't like it. The other thing that's very common to do is flat the third or major the third. So meaning that you just take one of those chords and you make it a minor or you make it a major. So I'm going to just take this F sharp chord and I'm going to make it into a minor chord. So I flat the A. So now I have And then you start thinking to yourself, is that little dark kind of a dissonance? So that's how you do it. That's how you figure out some chords. You find the key, transpose it if you find that you don't like the key that you're in. And sometimes certain keys just sound better. Most common keys people write in is C, F, and G, but there's plenty of other chords and colors and such. Then I showed you how to take the same chords, move them around, so you can create a whole completely different song. All songs are chords. There's only a limited amount of chords, and it's just the chord progression that you just change. So we changed the chord progression, created a brand new song using the same 4 chords that's in the chorus of Hotel California. I showed you how to do an inversion if you don't like a particular sound and you might want to change the sound a little bit. And then another common thing that we do in songwriting is to either flat the third or major the third, depending on, we make it minor or major depending on which one we have. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it and give you something to do on this little cold November day. All right, take care.